The last person I expected to see in the rain that night was the woman I had spent 2 years trying not to think about. It was 11:08 on a cold Thursday night in Portland, Oregon. Rain tapped against my kitchen window, soft but steady, like tiny fingers asking to be let in. I stood barefoot beside the sink, eating cold pasta from a plastic container because I had been too tired to heat it up. My house was quiet. My phone was silent. My life had become simple again, maybe too simple. Then someone knocked. Not hard, not loud, just 3 careful taps, then a pause, then one more. I froze with the fork halfway to my mouth. Nobody came to my door that late, not friends, not neighbors, not family. I lived alone on a quiet street where people closed their curtains by 9 and acted like the world outside did not exist. The knock came again. I set the container down and walked toward the front door. The porch light was on, but the rain blurred the glass. I leaned close to the peephole, and the second I saw her face, my chest tightened. Claire Whitaker stood on my porch, my ex's mother. Her hair was wet and loose around her face. Her beige coat was soaked at the shoulders. One hand held the handle of a small black suitcase. The other was pressed against her chest like she was trying to hold herself together. I had not seen Claire in almost 2 years. Not since her daughter, Lauren, gave my engagement ring back the night before our wedding. I opened the door before I had time to think. Claire looked up at me, and for a second the rain was the only sound between us. "Mason," she whispered. Her voice was softer than I remembered, tired, broken in a way she was trying to hide. "Claire," I said, "what happened?" She looked past me into the warm light of my house, then back at my face. Her eyes were red, but she had not been crying in a loud way. She looked like she had cried quietly in a car for a long time before deciding to knock. Then she said the words I never forgot. I didn't know where else to go. Something inside me shifted. I stepped back. "Come in." She did not move right away. "I shouldn't be here," she said. "You're standing in the rain with a suitcase at 11 at night," I said. "I think we passed should about 10 minutes ago." Her mouth moved like she almost smiled, but it did not last. She walked inside, and I closed the door behind her. For a moment she just stood in my hallway, dripping water onto the rug. She looked out of place in my small house, but also strangely right, as if the whole house had been waiting for her without telling me. I took her suitcase. She let me, but only after a small fight with the handle. "I can carry it," she said. "I know." "Then why are you taking it?" "Because you look like you have carried enough tonight." Her eyes lifted to mine. That was the first dangerous moment, not because anything happened. Nothing happened, she just looked at me. But in that look was something I had always tried to ignore, something warm, something painful. Something that should never have existed when I was engaged to her daughter. I looked away first. "Kitchen," I said. "I'll make tea." "You still burn water?" she asked quietly. "I have grown as a person." "Have you?" "Not much, but enough to own a kettle." This time she did smile, a small one. Weak but real, it hit me harder than it should have. I led her into the kitchen. She took off her coat and I hung it over the back of a chair. Under it she wore a soft cream blouse and dark pants, simple clothes. Rain had dampened the ends of her hair and a few strands clung to her neck. I should not have noticed that, but I did. Claire was 51, I was 34. She was my ex-fiancée's mother. She had comforted me on the worst night of my life. And now she was standing in my kitchen after midnight, looking at me like I was the only safe place left in the world. I filled the kettle just to give my hands something to do. "What happened?" I asked. Claire leaned against the counter. She folded her arms, then unfolded them, then reached for a towel I had left near the sink. "Lauren invited me to dinner," she said. Her daughter's name landed between us like a glass dropped on the floor. I had not spoken to Lauren in almost 2 years. I had once loved her. I had almost married her. Then she had looked me in the eye outside a wedding hall in Seattle and told me she cared about me but not enough to spend her life with me. That sentence had followed me for a long time. "Is she okay?" I asked. Claire looked at me with a sad little smile. "You still ask that first. I guess old habits die slowly." "She's engaged." My hand stopped on the kettle. Oh, I said. It was a small word for something that felt much bigger. Claire watched me carefully. You didn't know? No. I thought maybe she had told you. We don't talk. That may be for the best. I looked at her then, and a short laugh left me before I could stop it. Claire smiled too, but only for a second. She told me at dinner, Claire said. Her fiancé was there, his mother too. Everyone was smiling. Everything was polite. Then Lauren started talking about the past. My stomach tightened. What did she say? Claire looked down at the towel in her hands. She twisted it slowly. She said I had no right to judge her choices. She said I had made worse ones. What? I waited. Claire's voice dropped. Then she said my worst mistake was you. I stared at her, me. She nodded, but she still would not look at me. She said I cared more about you than she ever did. She said I made you feel wanted because I wanted you for myself. The room went silent. The kettle clicked off behind me, but I did not move. Claire finally looked up. Her face was pale now. I told her that was cruel, she whispered. My throat felt dry. Was it true? The question came out before I could stop it. Claire's breath caught. I hated myself for asking, but I could not take it back. Her eyes searched mine. There was fear there. Shame too. But under both there was something else. Something that made the room feel smaller. Before she could answer, my phone buzzed on the table. We both looked down. Lauren's name lit the screen. I had not seen that name on my phone in 2 years. The message preview showed enough. Is my mother there? Don't be stupid, Mason. She's been in love with you for years. Claire saw it too. All the color left her face. Please don't read the rest, she whispered. I picked up the phone and turned it face down. I won't. She looked at me like she did not believe me. You don't want to know. I want a lot of things, I said. That does not mean Lauren gets to throw them into my kitchen like a lit match. Claire's lips parted. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she said very quietly, I came here because when she said it, I realized I wanted it to be true. I stood there with Lauren's message turned face down on my kitchen table and Claire's confession hanging between us like a secret that had finally found air. She looked terrified after saying it, not weak. Claire never looked weak, but scared in a quiet way, like a woman who had opened a locked door and now did not know if she should run from what was inside. I took one step closer. She did not move back. Claire, I said, look at me. She shook her head a little. I should not have come. But you did. I was upset. That is not the same as being wrong. Her eyes lifted then. They were wet, bright, and full of something I had no right to want, but I wanted it anyway. I wanted to step closer. I wanted to touch her face. I wanted to tell her that I had spent years pretending she was only Lauren's mother, only kind, only graceful, only out of reach. But the truth was not that clean. The truth was that I had noticed her laugh before I noticed the flowers at my own rehearsal dinner. I had noticed how she listened when people talked, how she never wasted words, how her sadness lived behind her eyes but never made her bitter. I had noticed the way she once touched my shoulder after Lauren walked away from me, and how that one soft touch had stayed with me longer than the ring I never got to put on. I leaned against the counter because standing too close to her felt dangerous. I noticed you too, I said. Claire's breath stopped. The rain tapped against the windows. The kitchen light buzzed softly above us. It felt like the whole house was holding still, waiting to see what we would do next. You cannot say that, she whispered. I know. You were engaged to my daughter. I know. I was married. I know that too. Her voice broke just a little. Then why does hearing it make me feel less crazy? That got me. I crossed the small space between us before I could talk myself out of it. Claire watched me come closer. Her hands were still holding that towel, twisting it like it was the only thing keeping her steady. I reached for it gently and took it from her. You are not crazy, I said. You are hurt. You are tired. You are scared, but you are not crazy. Her eyes fell to my hands. You always do that, she said. Do what? Make me feel like I am allowed to be human. I almost laughed, but I could not. There was too much truth in her voice. "You are allowed," I said. Her lips trembled. "I forgot." That was the moment I touched her, just her hand at first. I held it carefully, giving her every chance to pull away. She did not. Her fingers were cold from the rain. I wrapped both my hands around hers, and she looked at them like she had not been held without a reason in years. "I do not want to use you to get back at Lauren," she said. "You are not. I do not want to be your wound. You are not. I am older than you. I can count." Her mouth moved into a small, painful smile. 17 years, Mason. "I know. That matters." "Yes," I said, "but it does not decide everything." She stared at me for a long time. Then she stepped closer and rested her forehead against my chest. I went still. It was not a kiss. It was not even an embrace at first. It was just her leaning into me like she had finally reached a place where she did not have to keep standing straight. I lifted my hand slowly and touched the back of her head. Her hair was damp and soft under my fingers. She let out a shaky breath and I felt it against my shirt. "I am so tired," she whispered. "I know. I am tired of being strong." "You do not have to be strong tonight." Her hands moved to the front of my shirt, not gripping, just resting there. I looked down at her and she looked up at me. Her face was close, too close, not close enough. My phone buzzed again on the table. We both turned our heads. "Lauren." Claire closed her eyes like the sound had pulled her out of a dream. I reached over, silenced the phone, and turned it off. Claire looked surprised. "You should answer her." "No. Mason. Not tonight. She will be angry." "She was already angry before you knocked." Claire gave a sad laugh. "That is true." I stepped back, not because I wanted distance, but because I knew we needed it. I took the mug of tea I had forgotten and handed it to her. "You are staying here tonight," I said. "I cannot." "You can. It will look terrible. It is raining. It is late. You are upset. You can take the guest room, and in the morning we deal with whatever comes next." She looked at me with that same tired pride. "You make everything sound simple." "No. I just make one decision at a time." "And what is tonight's decision?" I held her gaze. "Tonight you are safe." Something in her face softened so deeply that it nearly broke me. She nodded. I found her dry clothes, an old gray sweatshirt and a pair of pajama pants that were too big for her. She changed in the bathroom while I reheated the pasta, pretending that food was my main problem and not the fact that Claire Whitaker was barefoot in my hallway wearing my clothes. When she came back, I nearly forgot how to speak. The sweatshirt hung loose on her shoulders. Her hair was down now, falling in soft waves around her face. Without the coat, without the careful makeup, without the proud mask she wore around everyone else, she looked softer. Younger in some ways, older in others. Real. "Do not look at me like that," she said. I blinked. "Like what?" "Like you are trying very hard not to say something." "I am trying very hard not to say several things." Her cheeks turned pink. We sat on the couch with bowls of pasta and the old blue blanket my grandmother had made. At first there was space between us. Then the space got smaller. Her shoulder touched mine. Neither of us moved away. After a while she said, "I wanted to be a photographer once." I looked at her. "You did?" She nodded. "Before marriage, before being a mother became my whole name. I used to take pictures of train stations, old houses, strangers in parks. I liked catching people when they forgot to perform." "That sounds like you." She smiled down at her bowl. "What does that mean?" "You notice things people try to hide." Her smile faded a little. "So do you." I did not answer because my hand was under the blanket and hers was close, too close to ignore. Then slowly, Claire slipped her fingers into mine. I looked down. She did not. She just kept staring at the blank television like holding my hand was the bravest thing she had done all night. I held her back. We stayed like that until after midnight, not speaking much, listening to the rain and breathing like two people who had found a door but did not know where it led. The next morning I found her in my kitchen before sunrise. She had made coffee. It smelled like it could remove paint from a wall. She stood at the counter in my sweatshirt, her hair messy, both hands wrapped around a mug. Morning light touched her face, and for one stupid second I let myself imagine this was normal. Claire in my kitchen, coffee in the air, a quiet morning that belonged to us. She saw me in the doorway. "Do not say it," she said. "I have not said anything." "You are thinking it." "I am thinking many things." Her eyes held mine. "Are any of them safe?" "No." The air changed again. Before either of us could move, the doorbell rang once, then again, harder. Claire's face went pale. I looked through the front window. Lauren stood on my porch, her arms crossed, her face tight with anger. I turned back to Claire. "She's here." Lauren stood on my porch like she had been building anger all morning and had finally found a place to put it. Her hair was perfect. Her coat was dry. Her eyes were sharp. She looked nothing like the woman who had left me outside a wedding hall 2 years ago, but somehow the old pain still knew her face. Claire stood behind me in the kitchen doorway, one hand pressed against her stomach. "You do not have to talk to her," I said. "Yes, I do." Her voice was quiet, but there was steel inside it. I looked at her sweatshirt, my sweatshirt, hanging loose on her shoulders. Maybe not dressed like that. For the first time that morning, her mouth curved. "You are right." "I hate being right about that." She gave me a look that almost made me smile, then went down the hall to change. Lauren kept ringing the bell like she had decided my door was guilty too. When Claire came back, she wore the same cream blouse and dark pants from the night before. Her hair was brushed, her face calm, but I saw her hands. They were shaking. I reached for one. She looked down at our joined fingers. "If I open that door," I said, "I am not doing it to rescue you. I am doing it because you want to face her." Her eyes softened. "Thank you." "And after she leaves," I added, "I am taking you to breakfast." Claire blinked. "Breakfast?" "A real breakfast, with coffee that does not scare people." "Mason." "A date, Claire." Her lips parted, and for one second, all the fear in her face made room for something brighter. "Not because of Lauren," I said. "Not because of last night. Because I want to sit across from you in daylight and hear more about photography. Because I want to watch you pretend not to steal my toast." "I do not steal toast." "You have the face of a toast thief." She tried not to smile and failed. I looked dignified. "You look beautiful." Her smile faded. Her eyes filled with a kind of soft shock, as if she had not been called beautiful in a way that asked nothing from her. Then she whispered, "Yes." "To breakfast." "To the date." Only then did I open the door. Lauren stood under the porch light with her phone gripped in her hand. Her eyes went from my face to Claire's, then dropped to our hands. We had not let go. Lauren's mouth tightened. "So it is true." Claire lifted her chin. "Good morning, Lauren." "Do not good morning me." Lauren's voice shook with anger. "You left my house last night like I had done something terrible, and then you came here." "You did do something terrible," Claire said. Lauren laughed once, but there was no humor in it. "I told the truth." "You used the truth like a knife." Lauren's eyes flashed toward me. "And you just let her spend the night here." "She needed a safe place," I said. "She is my mother." "I know who she is." Lauren looked at Claire again. "Mom, this is insane. He was my fiancé." "You ended that," Claire said. "That does not mean you get to pick him up like some leftover thing I did not want." The words hit me harder than I expected, but before I could answer, Claire stepped half in front of me. "Do not speak about him like that." Lauren froze, so did I. Claire's hand tightened around mine. "Mason is not some leftover thing. He is kind. He listens. He shows up. He makes bad tea and worse morning coffee, but he has more heart than any man I have known in a long time." My throat tightened. Lauren stared at her. "You are defending him against me." "I am defending the truth. The truth is you wanted him before I even left him." Claire's face went pale, but she did not look away. "Maybe I did. And maybe that scared me so much I buried it for years. But I never touched him. I never crossed that line while he was yours. He was not mine. No, Claire said softly, and that was the problem, wasn't it? Lauren flinched. The rain had stopped, but water still dripped from the roof. The whole street felt too quiet. Lauren looked at me then, and for the first time her anger cracked. Under it I saw guilt. Mason, she said, I did not mean to hurt you like that. Yes, you did, I said. Her face changed. I kept my voice calm. I am not saying that to punish you, but you meant enough. The night before the wedding, the things you said last night, that message you sent, you knew where the hurt was. Lauren looked down. Claire's thumb moved over my hand, slow and steady. I am sorry, Lauren said. The words came out small, like she had never practiced them. I nodded. Thank you, but this is not about us anymore. Lauren's eyes moved to our hands again. It is about my mother dating my ex-fiancé. Not yet, Claire said. I glanced at her, her chin lifted. We have breakfast first. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Lauren stared at us like she had walked into a room where everyone spoke a language she did not know. This will destroy everything, she whispered. No, Claire said. It will change things. That is not the same. Lauren's eyes filled. I do not know how to be okay with this. You do not have to be okay today, Claire said, but I will not be ashamed for wanting a life. Lauren stood there for another long second, then turned and walked back to her car. When I closed the door, Claire did not move. Then she whispered, I am shaking. I know. I hated that. I know. She turned to me, and I still want breakfast. That made me laugh softly. Good. She stepped closer and lifted one hand to my cheek. Her fingers were warm now. I kissed you last night like I was apologizing, she said. I went still. She looked at my mouth. I would like to try again without apologizing. My hand found her waist. I am in favor of that. Claire kissed me, not the corner of my mouth this time, my mouth. It started soft, careful. Then she leaned closer and I pulled her in, and all the quiet want between us broke open. Her hand slid up my chest. Mine held her waist like she was real, like she was here, like I was allowed to want her without hiding from myself. When she pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. I am still scared, she whispered. Me too. That helps. Good. She smiled, breathless and bright. Now feed me. Yes, ma'am. Her eyes narrowed. Do not call me ma'am on our date. Noted. Then she paused in the hallway, glanced back and said, unless I ask nicely. I nearly walked into the wall. We went to a small diner on Maple Street, the kind with red booths, old coffee mugs, and a waitress who looked like she knew every secret in town. Claire sat across from me, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee. This is where you take all your scandalous women, she asked. Only the ones who insult my tea. I did not insult it, I feared it. The waitress came by and smiled at us. You two look guilty. Claire nearly choked on her coffee. I looked straight at her. We are on a first date. Claire's eyes lifted to mine. I did not look away. I did not make it a joke. I did not hide. A slow blush rose on her cheeks, and under the table her foot brushed mine. After the waitress left, Claire whispered, You said that so easily. It was easy. It should not be. Why? Because people will talk. People talk when my neighbor puts Christmas lights up in June. People are not a reason to live lonely. She looked down at her coffee, but her smile stayed. I put my hand on the table, palm up. I did not reach for her. I waited. Claire stared at my hand for a long moment. Then she placed hers in mine. There, she said softly, before I lose my nerve. I closed my fingers around hers. After breakfast, we walked to a camera shop 2 blocks away. Claire stopped outside the window. Old cameras sat inside on small shelves, black and silver, shining under warm lights. Her face changed. You okay? I asked. I feel foolish. Why? Because I am 51 years old and afraid to walk into a store. Then we do not go in. She looked at me. You are not going to push me. I will challenge you. I will not shove. Her eyes searched mine, then she took my hand. Challenge me. Inside, I watched Claire come alive. She picked up cameras like they were small pieces of her old self. She asked questions. She tested lenses. She looked through one at the street, then at the flowers in the shop next door, then at me. She lowered the camera slowly. What? I asked. You look different through a lens. Better or worse? Less guarded. I tried to joke, but my voice came out softer than I planned. Maybe that is because of who is looking. Her eyes went bright, then her phone rang. The smile left her face. I saw the name on the screen, Evan, her ex-husband. She did not answer. A text came right after. Claire read it and her jaw tightened. What did he say? I asked. She handed me the phone. You embarrassed Lauren. Whatever game you are playing with that carpenter, end it before you make this family look worse. Anger rose in me, but Claire took the phone back before I could speak. No, she said. No. No, he does not get the rest of this day. Then she typed a message, showed it to me, and pressed send. I am not playing a game. I am on a date. Do not contact me again today. She slipped the phone into her purse, turned to me, and took my hand in the middle of the sidewalk. Take me somewhere beautiful, she said. I want to photograph the man I am not apologizing for. I took Claire to Briar Park, the quiet place behind the old library where a wooden footbridge crossed over a narrow creek. The rain had stopped, but the whole town still looked washed clean. Water clung to the red maple leaves. The path was dark and shining. The air smelled like wet grass, coffee, and fall. Claire walked beside me with her new camera bag held close to her chest, like it was not just a camera inside, but a piece of herself she had finally taken back. She looked around when we reached the bridge. This is beautiful, she said. I know. She turned her head and caught me looking at her instead of the creek. You are not looking at the water, she said. No. A soft blush touched her face, but she did not look away this time. That was different. Last night she had looked like a woman running from her own heart. Now she looked scared, but she was still standing there, still choosing. She took the camera from the bag and held it in both hands. Go stand by the railing, she said. Yes, ma'am. Her eyes narrowed. Sorry, I said, old habits. You are enjoying this too much. I am on a date with a beautiful woman who publicly claimed me before noon. I think I am allowed to enjoy one or two things. She tried not to smile, but the camera hid none of it. She lifted it to her eye. Stop looking so proud of yourself. I am proud of myself. Why? Because I opened the door. Her finger paused on the button. That small joke turned serious so fast I almost wished I could take it back. Claire lowered the camera a little and looked at me. So am I, she said. I felt that in my chest. She took the picture, then another. Then she moved around me, looking at the bridge, the trees, the creek, and my face like she was trying to catch proof that the morning had really happened. After a while, she lowered the camera. I used to think wanting more made me selfish, she said. I stood straighter. More what? She looked down at the camera in her hands. More love, more attention, more tenderness, more than being needed, more than being useful. I spent so many years being a wife, then a mother, then a problem for everyone to solve. I forgot I was allowed to be a woman too. I stepped closer. You never stopped being one. Her eyes filled. Mason. I mean it. I know you do. That is what scares me. Why? Because I believe you. The creek moved under the bridge, soft and silver. A red leaf landed on the water and spun slowly away. Claire set the camera on the railing and came toward me. She did not ask. She did not apologize. She just stepped into my arms and laid her cheek against my chest. I held her. For a long time, neither of us spoke. I do not know what happens next, she whispered. Good. She pulled back enough to look at me. Good. If we knew, we would try to control it. I do not want to control this. I just want to be honest. And what is honest? I touched her cheek. I want you. Her breath caught. Not because of Lauren, not because you came to my door upset, not because I am lonely. I want you in the morning. I want you stealing my toast. I want you leaving camera parts on my table. I want your bad coffee in my kitchen. I want to hear about every dream you put away because someone else needed something first." Tears slipped down her face, but she smiled through them. "And if people judge us," she asked, "they will. And if Lauren never understands, then we give her time, but we do not give her our truth." Claire closed her eyes. "I love my daughter," she said. "I know. But I cannot give her the rest of my life as an apology." I nodded. "Then do not." She looked at me for a long time. The wind moved her hair across her face and I brushed it back with my fingers. Then she said, "I think I am falling in love with you." The world went still. The bridge, the creek, the wet trees, the cold air, all of it faded. There was only Claire standing in front of me with tears on her cheeks and courage in her eyes. I smiled, but my voice shook when I answered, "I think I already fell." She laughed softly, then kissed me. It was not rushed. It was not hidden. It was a kiss in open daylight on a bridge in the middle of town with leaves falling around us and no one to explain ourselves to. Her hands touched my face. Mine rested at her waist, and for the first time in years I did not feel like I had lost something. I felt like something had found me. 6 months later, there were 3 framed photographs hanging in my hallway. One was of the creek under the bridge. One was of our hands on the diner table, half out of focus, her thumb resting over mine. The third was the photo she took of me inside the camera shop. She said I looked unguarded in it. I hated how right she was. Claire started a small photography page online. At first, she only posted pictures of old houses, city streets, and quiet faces. Then people began asking her to take portraits. One woman wanted pictures after her divorce. One man wanted photos with his dog before moving away from Portland. Claire came home after each session with tired feet and shining eyes. I built her a work desk by the dining room window because she said the light there made ordinary things look forgiven. Lauren did not accept us quickly. For 2 months, she did not call. Claire pretended she was fine, but I saw her check her phone. I saw the sadness in her face when holidays were mentioned. Loving me had not made her stop being a mother, and I never asked it to. One Sunday afternoon, the doorbell rang. Claire and I both froze. When I opened the door, Lauren stood there with a box in her hands. Her face was pale. Her eyes moved past me to her mother, who stood in the dining room with a camera strap around her neck and sawdust on her sleeve. Lauren looked like she wanted to be angry, but she was too tired. "I found some of your old photos," she said to Claire, "in the garage." Claire walked slowly to the door. "Thank you," she said. Lauren handed her the box. "I still do not know how to be okay with this." Claire nodded. "You do not have to be okay today." What? Lauren looked at me. For a second I saw the woman I almost married. Not cruel, not careless, just young in ways she had not understood. "Are you happy?" she asked me. I looked at Claire. Her hand was on the box, but her eyes were on me. "Yes," I said, "I am." Lauren swallowed, then she looked at her mother. "Are you?" Claire's voice was soft but steady. "Yes." Lauren nodded like it hurt, but like she had needed to hear it too. She did not stay long, but before she left she touched her mother's arm. It was small. It was not forgiveness, not fully, but it was a beginning. A year after that rainy night, Claire moved in. Not because she needed a place to stay, because she wanted our place to be the same place. She arrived with 3 suitcases, 2 cameras, and a small basil plant she claimed was sensitive to bad energy. I opened the door and said, "I didn't know where else to go." She stared at me. "If you make that joke every year, I will leave you." "No, you won't." She stepped inside, set down the plant, and wrapped her arms around my neck. "No," she whispered, "I won't." We were never easy. Some people stared, some whispered, some family dinners felt stiff and strange. Lauren needed time and we gave it to her. Evan tried to send messages twice. Claire blocked him both times and took a self-portrait afterward in red lipstick and my old flannel shirt. She titled it "Available Light." I kept a print in my workshop. But every morning Claire chose her life out loud. And every night I chose her right back. The last photo she took that first year was on my porch, the same porch where she had stood in the rain at 11 at night with a suitcase in her hand. She set the timer, ran back to me laughing, and I caught her around the waist just as the camera clicked. In the picture, the porch light glows behind us. Her face is turned up to mine. My hand is in her hair. We are both laughing like we got away with something. Maybe we did. Not scandal. Not betrayal. Something better. A second chance that knocked softly in the rain and waited to see if I would open the door.